Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's Friday Live. It is Friday, May 17, 2024. Fiona Lukeis here. You might notice that I am in a very different area to where you normally see me on these things. I'm not in my office. I am at a horse jumping competition with my daughter. She had a inter-school jumping competition today, so I have taken the day off, and we've been here since very early this morning. She has just jumped her first round, which was a clear round, so we were very excited about that. I had a proud mother moment, got very teary and emotional because I know just how much effort, time, work has gotten into to get my daughter for her to be here today. And when I mean time, effort, and work, I mean the work that she's put into the horse to get her ready and here today. So for those of you who are just tuning in, I'm not in my office. I'm at a horse jumping competition with my daughter, and she just jumped a clear round this morning. So we are in between rounds. She's going to jump another round this afternoon, and it's freezing, raining, wet, cold. So I'm sitting in the car, coming live to you guys. The horse is tied up. I can see her in my rear vision mirror in the on the up to the float at the back of the car, and my daughter's out watching the horses. It's quite amazing to be here. There are some extraordinary horses, some extraordinary people with some extraordinary equipment and all sorts of things here. It's quite amazing. So I'm at this local horse jumping competition, and I must admit, when I said I'd see you guys next week, I completely forgot that I was doing this, and then I thought, oh, well, I can still go live here. I've just hooked this up to the car, so hopefully it's all working. Hopefully you can hear me okay. And I can still answer any questions that you might have, all that kind of thing. So I'll just give everything a moment for the feed to go through. I've gone a bit earlier today, so normally I am at 12:30. It's just after 11 a.m. here, but I wanted to do the lives a little earlier because I know that we are. I know it's much later on the East Coast, and I wanted to try and catch some of you guys at a more reasonable hour in the States there. So, oh, hey, Shani. Oh, my goodness, I can see the YouTube comments. That's awesome. So, hi, Fiona. You're on yet another train in Japan, and so you're able to tune in yet again. Feeling blessed. 3 days in a row. You guys are amazing. I love this. Shani and Campbell, these gorgeous couple who are on this incredible tour around Japan and Canada, and they're relatable students, and they've been tuning in to the relatable calls even on their trip. I saw them on our relatable call on Wednesday night in their kimonos in the hotel room. The cutest things you've ever seen in your life. So yes, it is freezing, Shani. Absolutely freezing, wet, cold, but that's okay. I'm snug as a bug I'm like a Michelin man in the car here. So anyone else who wants to say hi, please do so. I'm not sure how many of you have realized that I've gone a little bit earlier, so I may miss some of you, but hopefully you'll get used to the new time. So obviously on these Friday Lives, I like to answer any questions that any of you send through. This is really about where I can be of service, to see what I can do to, give back in any way that I can. So, hi Jane, thanks for saying hi. This is cool. I've not done a Friday live I've not done a live stream from my phone like this before, so I can see your comments and questions, which is awesome. So that's great. Yes, it is freezing. I've just gone through. It's freezing cold and raining here. A bit challenging when you're at a horse competition and it's this wet and cold, but that's okay. So I'm here to answer any questions that you might have. And, obviously during these lives, I talk about kind of some of the themes that may occur or come through with my private client work or the work with my students. So something that has come through a lot, and I've had a few questions. Sorry, I've got these AirPods in my ears, and I'm not used to using them, kind of falling out a bit. Anyway, I guess a theme that I've seen, or a couple of questions that have come through to me. So I've had a question from someone last week who said, "Hey Fiona, I'm on the brink of losing my soulmate." I can't see the questions at the same time as doing the live, so I'm trying to remember this off the top of my head. But I'm about to lose my soulmate. What the problem is that I don't know what to talk about. I freeze whenever they bring something up, and it's killing us and it's killing me. I've lost confidence in what to say and what to talk about. So I've had a few people email me in with a similar kind of question comment. Hey everyone, if you've just joined in live, I'm at a horse show. My daughter is jumping her horse. It's only her second competition, and she's just jumped a clear round this morning. So I was very emotional watching that. Very proud mama moment here. And so I thought I'll come live to you guys because I can. We're having a break between rounds. She's got a round coming up in an hour or so, so the timing works. Hi, Sharon. You've had 4 lovely days in South Yarra. Oh, perfect. Yes, the weather was gorgeous. So you have dodged a bullet. It's completely turned as only Melbourne can do. It'll probably clear up this afternoon and be warm and sunny. That's Melbourne for you. 4 seasons in one day. So I'm sitting in the car. The horse is tied up to the float behind me. But I guess the theme that has come through today, anyone else want to say hi, please do. The theme that's come through is, people finding things to talk about, people freezing when there's something important to talk about. Um, People, hey Giovanna, I did enjoy my mama moment. I got very teary watching her because I know how hard she has worked and what has gone into getting this horse here. I can't. I was quite teary watching her. But thank you, darling. Thank you for your comment. It was a very cool moment. I love the fact that I can combine my work while being at a horse show with my daughter. So, anyway, you know, I so I've had people commenting, I don't know what to say, or Fiona, I have these when there's really difficult conversations come up. I don't know how to handle them, and I wanted to speak to that for a second about how to have hard conversations, those difficult conversations, those conversations that you find challenging. So whether it be I struggle to even find something to say with my partner, down to, there's some really important things that we need to talk about, and I freeze, or I overthink it, or I feel like I'm walking on eggshells, all of those kinds of things. One of the things that I really wanted to say around that, or I wanted to speak to that for a bit today, you know, I think one of the things we're afraid of doing as humans is speaking to the elephant in the room. People will dodge it. People will step around it. People will ignore it. They'll do whatever they can, and try and speak over the top of what I would call the elephant in the room. So the elephant in the room is the thing that you're most afraid of. Does that make sense? So, for example, with the question that came through last week, from this gentleman saying, "Hi Fiona, I'm about to lose my soulmate. We sit down at the end of the day and I freeze. I don't know what to say, and the words get stuck in my throat. It's killing us. It's driving her away. I don't know what to do. Please help." Now, the first thing that I want to say to that is, if you're in a situation where you're struggling to have a difficult conversation, there's a conversation, there's something you need to talk about, and you're finding it difficult. So the first thing I would say to this gentleman is, you've got to remove the biggest obstacle, and the biggest obstacle is the elephant in the room. So what is the elephant in the room here? The elephant in the room here is he doesn't know what to say, he's freezing up, and he's nervous. Now imagine if you just said that. Right, that's the elephant that you need to address. So we try and ignore that, pretend it's not there, um, talk around it, try and bluff our way through it. And then, of course, we make it worse because you can't hide stuff like that. Does that make sense? It's so obvious. And not only that, people start, if they don't know that you're nervous, if they don't know that you don't know what to say, if they don't know that you're freezing up, if they're not sure what's going on, what can happen is they'll assume the worst. Oh, it's because you don't care about me. Oh, it's because you don't want to talk to me. Oh, it's because, like, we will, wherever there's a gap, we will assume the worst. That's just what human beings do. So if this gentleman, you would find this so much easier if you just said, "Hey, I'm nervous. I don't know what to say. For some reason, I'm freezing up. And I just want you to know that because of that, I struggle to know what to say, but I really want to talk to you." Now you're actually talking. Can you see that? You're actually talking because you're speaking to the elephant in the room. You're not trying to hide it. You're not trying to ignore it. You're not trying to pretend that it's not there or talk over the top of it. By addressing it, Number one, you're going to feel better because you're no longer trying to speak over the top of something. Number two, you're opening the pathway for understanding between the two of you. Because if you're open and honest about something, the other person will generally say, hey, that's okay, let's work it out together. Because now there's no one's trying to second guess. They're not trying to work out why you don't want to talk, why you're stuck, all of those sorts of things. You're actually speaking to the elephant in the room. So I always say to people, the easiest course of action if you're having a conversation and you don't know what to say or you're struggling is to start with the thing that you're most afraid of, which is the elephant in the room. Hey, you know what? I want to talk to you, but I don't even know what to say. Like, keep it simple. See that it's just a simple thing. Hey, I don't know what to say. Or I feel like my mind is freezing up. I'm trying to find the perfect topic. Nothing's coming to mind. And now I'm not saying anything. And I don't want you to think I don't want to talk to you. You're actually talking right now. You're actually having a conversation. But what you're doing is you're sharing where you're at. You're being real, you're being honest, you're kind of owning it. Does that make sense? This opens the pathway in ways you can't possibly imagine, because now you don't have to worry about trying to hide that thing, pretend that it's not there, bluff your way through it. Okay, you're speaking to what's there. All of a sudden you'll find that you'll relax. And when we relax, and this is the thing that I know to be true about human beings, I've worked with thousands of people now, and I've not met an exception to this. When people are relaxed and people feel good, they communicate really well. Okay. Now, there are obviously going to be other people who are natural born communicators who communicate with more ease than somebody else, of course. But generally speaking, when people are relaxed and they feel good, they communicate well. So speak to the elephant in the room. Speak to that thing that you're most afraid of. All of a sudden, you'll feel relaxed, and you'll find that instead of your mind being full of, how do I not show this person that I'm scared, or how do I not show this person that I'm worried, or how do I avoid X, there's room for you to actually talk about something, and you'll find that by addressing the elephant in the room, the conversation will have a life of its own. It's amazing to me how many people avoid the elephant in the room, and then we get stuck, and then we're in our head, we're not in our heart space, we overthink it, we analyze things, we're in our logical brain, and all of a sudden that's when we become tongue tied and we become nervous. We're not as comfortable in our own skin. You can see the ripple effects of that, right? Hey, Giovanna, what you're saying about speaking to the elephant in the room makes so much sense. Cool. Awesome. There have been so many times after the fact that I can't believe I wasn't more direct. Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you so much, Giovanna. Hey, Jane, this is so good. It's simple but amazing. I can't wait to try this. And you know, Jane, can I just say, the answer always lies in simplicity. Always. We undervalue and underappreciate simplicity. Truly, simplicity is always the answer. Always, always, always. In fact, whenever I'm looking at something and it's looking complicated, I know that I'm not looking in the right direction, right? Simplicity, simplicity, simplicity. Everything is far, far, far more simple, especially relationships, than we can ever possibly understand. Relationships are not complicated. They really are not. Human beings are not complicated. I promise you they are not. There is a lot of complicated information out there that gives the impression that human beings are complicated, but we are not complicated. We are more the same than different. We operate the same way. We create our reality the same way. We all want to feel good. And when I say feel good, I mean calm, grounded, peaceful, present, with clarity of mind. That's a feeling we are all looking for. I'm yet to meet a person who does not want that. It's just sometimes we think it looks like it's something else, but this is what everybody wants. We all want the same thing. We all operate the same way. Yes, we express ourselves differently, but there is more sameness than difference in human beings. And simplicity appeals to everybody. Okay, everybody wants more simplicity. There is so much complicated stuff going on in life, right? Out there, there's so many things that people, it looks like so many boxes people need to tick, so many things they need to do, so many things that they need to learn, handle, think of, so many, right? Life looks very complicated. Whenever we come across simplicity, how do we feel? Think about that for 1 second. Whenever you've come across something and it's been really simple, what is the feeling you've been in? I guarantee you the feeling has been one of relief. The feeling has been one of calm. The feeling has been one of where you feel like you can breathe, right? Now imagine if that was the case in your relationships. And it absolutely can be. It really, really can be. When we have clarity of mind, when we understand how human beings work, what happens is we operate from a place of simplicity. We stop overthinking. Things like speaking to the elephant in the room look obvious, become clearer, and we start naturally operating from that space. And when we do, everything becomes easier. It really, really does. This is what people are learning and discovering in my relatable program every single day. This is what my clients are learning when I teach this understanding to them, and they start really experiencing this for themselves in any given moment of now, and they start living from that place. It's like they start living from that place. It's like, oh, okay, this is what you mean by simplicity, Fiona. Yes, I can see the sameness now. Oh my goodness, I understand what to do. I always thought that I had to do this, but I don't. I don't need to overthink anything anymore, or everything anymore. I actually, I, it's actually much, much, much easier and simpler. Relationships are, I promise you. For those of you who are just joining in, I'm coming to you live from a horse show that my daughter is competing in today, and it's just so lovely to be able to combine this with that. I always wanted to do jumping when I was a little girl, but I didn't quite have the right horse, and then we had a bad accident. I broke my arm in 3 pieces, and I never quite got to do it. So I think I'm living vicariously through my daughter right now. I'm so excited that she's able to have this experience, and that we're even able to be here. It's very exciting. Anyway, you're so welcome, Jane. Thank you so much for your comment. I really appreciate that. I'm glad to hear that it's helpful to you. And for anybody else, if there is something that I'm saying that resonates, makes sense, is helpful, really appreciate any feedback that you have, any comments that you have. I really do. It helps me to know that I'm speaking to something that's useful to you, right? Because that's the whole point of these lives, is that I speak to something that's useful to you, and I'm able to answer any questions that you have. So if you've just joined us live, feel free to say hi. Let me know where you're listening from. If you have a question that you want me to answer, pop it in the comments, because I seem to be receiving them really well from where I am. Pop them in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them for you. So far we've been talking about speaking to the elephant in the room, and the power of that, and how people tend to avoid this like the plague, which makes no sense, because when you do that, you create a pathway of understanding. It gives people something to connect with and through, and makes everything easier. Now, I've also been talking about how relationships are very simple, and the power of simplicity. Okay, if you think about life, now think about this for 1 second. The most profound things in life are the simplest. The most profound things in life are the simplest. So the things that move us the most, or the things that move you, take a moment to think about what moves you, where you feel, and if you don't not sure what I mean by moved, where you are feeling really deeply touched by something. Okay, that's what I mean by feeling moved. If you ever think about that, generally what you see that moves you is very simple. It'll be like a beautiful sunset, for example. It will be the way and I get very moved when I see older couples walking around hand in hand, taking care of each other. That moves me, right? I feel very moved when my dog gets so excited because I'm about to take him for a walk. That moves me. I feel moved watching my daughter ride her horse. I feel moved being on these Facebook lives with you guys, right? They move me deeply, and the bravery that people have when they reach out, ask a question, share something of themselves, that moves me so deeply. I get very deeply moved by the students on my relatable calls who are so giving, kind, wise, brave, open. That moves me deeply. So these are simple everyday things, right? These are the things that move us the most. Someone's smile, when someone looks you in the eye and smiles. Think about it. It's always very simple. Or another word for it, it's very ordinary, I guess you could say, right? The beauty is in the ordinary. And we've not been taught to appreciate the ordinary. We've kind of been kind of conditioned that it's all about the extraordinary. But and this is problematic in our relationships. So I want to link what I'm saying back to our relationships. When you are conditioned only to really appreciate the extraordinary. And now, one thing you've got to understand about the extraordinary is made up of the ordinary. Okay? The extraordinary is made up of the ordinary. So if you've been conditioned to only appreciate the extraordinary, think about what that does to your expectations of life and others. Okay, because expectations are very problematic in relationships. I've actually got a whole module on expectations, or a mini program on expectations that you get when you do my relatable program, because they really do get in the way and erode goodwill and create an awful amount of resentment in relationships. And resentment is a very, very destructive emotion. Really very destructive emotion, very destructive for relationships. So when you have only been taught to appreciate the extraordinary, and we are conditioned to do that, right? Everything's got to be bigger, better, that kind of is vain vibe is what I mean. You have these very high expectations of people and yourself. Now, when we have very high expectations, we inevitably feel disappointed. Okay, inevitably, you have an expectation. I guarantee you will feel disappointed, and that's simply because not your expectation is not going to get met every time. People will not be able to, whether it be an expectation you have of yourself or someone else. You will always be bound to have a sense of disappointment. Now, when we feel disappointed, and if you've ever been in a relationship where someone feels disappointed in you, or you're disappointed in yourself, or you're disappointed in someone else, the weight of that, the feeling of that's not good, is it? It really it brings out our insecurities and the insecurities in somebody else. And so I see people coming to me with these very high expectations of themselves and others, which invariably leads to resentment, which invariably leads to disappointment, and a really low, crappy feeling. Okay, and in a low, crappy feeling, people don't communicate so well. They overthink things. They take things personally. They stop spending time together. They'll go spend time doing other things. And so, when we've been only conditioned to appreciate the extraordinary and not the ordinary, and and we're not, and we're kind of seeing things through a very complicated lens, not through the lens of simplicity, this is what happens. People get these unrealistic expectations of themselves and others, and these unrealistic expectations are incredibly destructive. So when I talk about things like simplicity, when I talk about appreciating the ordinary, there is always a direct correlation to how that plays out in our relationships, how that plays out in our ability to connect and our ability to create connection. Okay. Which is obviously, connection is the life force of any and every relationship. It really is. Okay. It's the everything. It's the life force of every human being. A human being cannot thrive without connection. We cannot thrive. We function. Okay. We function, but we cannot thrive. We do not experience fulfillment. We feel empty. We feel like there's something missing. We cannot thrive. We can survive, but we cannot thrive without connection. And so this is why relationships are something that I feel so lit up by something I feel so passionate by, because connection is at the heart and soul of the well-being of every human being on the planet. Okay, we need connection. You can convince yourself that you don't, you can tell yourself that you don't need it, but that's just a human being in defense mode. It is. It's not a human being with an open heart who is present. That's a human being with their defenses up, who's in their intellectual mind and is convincing themselves of a whole lot of BS, if I could be completely frank there. But anyway, so what I'm talking about when I talk about looking at life through the lens of simplicity, when I talk about appreciating the ordinary, you can see that a human being who learns to do that and has an appreciation of those things shows up what so differently in their relationships. They generally have a higher level of humility. They're graceful with their highs and their lows. They're more appreciative and grateful to of the things that they have and of the people in their life. They are kinder to themselves and others. So you can see how these things filter out and filter through everything. And so this is why I come back to a statement that I've made many times. When it comes to relationships, there are 3 relationships, okay? And we are always in relationship with one or all of these things at any given time. And these 3 areas are fundamental, and they are important to well-being, to relationships, to every single aspect of our lives. Okay, so it is your relationship with yourself, your relationship with others, and your relationship with life. Okay, these 3 areas are the everything. And people often struggle with the first 2, the relationship with themselves and others, the relationship with themselves and life, which is why they then struggle with the relationship with others. Okay, so everything that I do is designed to help you with these 3 areas, because when you do those, when you do the first 2 well, you do the third one super well. Okay, but if we're only focusing on our relationship with others and we're not focusing on these 2, the relationship will only get to a point that is reflective of the level of your relationship with yourself and your relationship with life. Okay, I'm going to say that again. If you are only focusing on your relationship with others, your relationship will only ever get to a point that is reflective of yourself and your relationship with others. Okay, and so this is why it is these 3 key areas which are so fundamentally important that you want to understand, be comfortable in, be great at, and anyone can. That's the thing. Anyone can. Doesn't matter your age, your gender, your past, your personality type. I promise you, anybody can. This is possible and available to us all. Okay. Um, Hey, Mark, I've got a YouTube comment here. My husband has high expectations of everyone in his life. I can't live up to that. Yeah, it's exhausting, right? It's exhausting. But and but what you'll find is people who have very high expectations of others have very high expectations of themselves, right? What you project onto other people is a reflection of what you project onto you. So your husband would be feeling, if I was to have a conversation with him, I can guarantee would be feeling disappointed in himself, having very high expectations of himself, and then he'll be projecting that elsewhere, wherever he goes. That's just how things work. This is where you see that life in many, many, many ways is a mirror of you. And when you understand how to read the mirror, it's very enlightening, empowering, and full of really helpful information, if that makes sense. So thanks for your comment. I appreciate you sharing that. I really do. Now, hey, Mick. Hi. Thanks for saying hi. Thanks for jumping on my live, Mick. Appreciate it. Hi, Sylvia. Thanks for being here. I can just see that I can't see your comment, but I can see that you're there. So thanks for that, honey. So if anyone else has a question that they want to ask me, I'm here live for the next little bit. It's raining and cold outside. I'm at my daughter's horse show. If you're wondering why I'm sitting here and I'm not in my office, she's just this is only her second show with her horse, and her horse just jumped it's a show jumping comp, and she's just jumped a clear round, so we're very excited about that. I've had a proud mama moment this morning. Yeah, you like my new office? Yeah, I like it too. It's great, isn't it? I'm sitting in my husband's ute with the float connected to the back and the horse tied to the float. So anyway, I wanted, and I'm live from my mobile, but it all seems to be working well. So if you have a question that you want me to answer, or you have some feedback on what I've been sharing, I've been talking about, for those of you who've just joined, and you might want to go back and listen to the recording, but I've been talking about, how to have some of those hard conversations. The key to that is speaking to the elephant in the room. If you're not sure what I mean by that, go back and listen to the recording because I've covered that there. And talking about the power of simplicity, that relationships can actually be really simple, and connection. Sorry, simple and connection. Simple and easy. And Carmel, so I'm just reading your comment. Hi, how do you feel okay if you don't have a love connection in your life? That's a really, really great question, Carmel. One of the ways that that we feel okay, and I guess what the most important place, and I want to say to you, this is actually really important. Thanks for asking that question, honey. I really appreciate it. So if you are someone who is single and you're looking for that person, or you really want to be in a relationship, it's really important that I know this is going to sound strange, okay? But one of the big keys to this is that you are okay with being single, right? You are okay with where you are. This is one of the things that opens up and allows space for that to come into your life, that you are okay with where you are. So what do I mean by that? When we're feeling insecure and worried and stressed, we become very loaded around something. Does that make sense? We become very loaded. And so then every relationship or potential relationship becomes a very loaded experience of, when we really want something badly, we can inadvertently almost push it away. And, the best way to attract something into your life is to be neutral about it as opposed to loaded. So when we're neutral, one of the keys to being neutral is to being really okay with where you are. And one of the keys to being really okay with where you are is your connection to your spiritual nature. Okay. Human beings, in order for us to feel fulfilled, we need to have a strong connection to our spiritual nature. Okay. Now, this doesn't have to be, some of you are going to listen to this and roll your eyes and go, oh God, what does she mean by that? And all of those kinds of things. It doesn't have to be some big complicated thing. It's a very, very simple thing. But I know to the depth of my being that I am not on my own. I am always being divinely guided. I know this. I'm always being given the resources and thinking I need to handle life. I trust this implicitly. I know that is there for me. And so I never truly feel alone. And if ever I'm stressed or worried, I lean into the knowing of that. And we do talk about this in Relatable. We do have conversations about this because this is very important. Why? Because the more I trust in that, the more deeply I understand that, the more comfortable I am in my own skin. The more comfortable I am in my own skin, the less expectations I have of myself and others, the easier it is for me to let go, the easier it is for me to be present, the less I try and micromanage myself and others in life, the less I have on my mind, the greater clarity of mind, the calmer I feel, the more peaceful I am. Like, can you see how it is so interconnected and it ripples out everywhere? Okay. When we have a fear of being alone, when we feel like life is against us, so this is why your relationship with life matters. Okay. So part of the answer to that, Carmel, is you need to have a great relationship with life. And this is one of the things that I mean. When I talk about a great relationship with life, I trust in life. I have faith in life. Doesn't mean that I will always get what I want. No, that's not what it means. Does it mean that, if I wish for, I don't know, $1 million to go in my bank account, that I'm going to get it? No, not necessarily. But I know that I will always get what I need to handle what is in front of me. This is very important. So you must, this is very, very, I cannot tell you how important this is. Now, it's interesting. I often work with a lot of people who tick all the boxes that life say you need to tick in order to be happy. It's a very common thing for people to come to me and say, Fiona, I don't understand. I've got a great career. I live in a beautiful home. I've got a great relationship. I'm healthy. I've got money, but I'm not happy. Why am I not happy? Why? What's the matter with me? Every box is ticked, but I am not happy. And the missing piece is this that I'm talking about. And it's missing for so many of us. We are not meant to spend so much of our time in our intellectual, analytical mind. We're just not. And what I see is a really massive imbalance there, which has a huge impact on the quality of our relationships and our connection and all of those sorts of things. But I see so many people in their intellectual, analytical mind where we overthink, we feel like we've got to micromanage everything, where it kind of feels like we've got to have it sorted, we've got to tick every box, we've got to tick everything off our to-do list, that we can't relax until our to-do list is ticked off, where our lives are so jam-packed full that we're just chasing our tails and our minds are spinning, racing, and we just don't have any bandwidth. Okay? No bandwidth, your suffering increases exponentially. And so this is one of the reasons why it is so, so, so important that you have a good relationship with life. So that when life doesn't go your way, and life is a contact sport, so there's always moments and times where life does not go your way. This is true for everybody, okay? Everybody. So that when life does not go your way, you have something to draw from. You know where to look for the answer, for inspiration, for motivation, uh, for an ability to tune in. Okay, this is so important. So for anyone who's single or anyone, and I have people coming to me, who perhaps want to have a child and they're unable to get pregnant, or like there's so many different things, right? You're not alone, but if that is the key, this is a big part of the key, that if you are going through something in your life that is not what you imagined or wanted, and there are many people going through that. I've gone through, sometimes we call that the dark night of the soul, right? Where it just feels like life is against you. There are many people going through that. If you do not have a relationship with life, if you do not have faith and trust in life, if you feel like you're on your own swimming against the tide, your suffering will be exponentially higher than somebody else's going through a difficult situation who has that stuff sorted. Okay. This is why this is part of my relatable program and part of my work, because this is an essential aspect to our levels of well-being, our bandwidth, our emotional intelligence, how we show up to ourselves and others. I cannot tell you how important that is. Okay. Hey, Melissa. I'm just reading your comment here. Makes perfect sense. My daughter projects her hurt into me. I can't even say anything in conversation with her without her finding anger at something. I've expressed that I cannot enter into her cycle of negativity, as all she does is put me down and refuses to hear there is another option rather than what she's perceiving. I've had to step away for a bit because I'm not able to express where I am. Oh, hang on. I don't know how to stop that going up on the screen there. Sorry. Oh no, there we go. And see what I see is met with such anger. Knowing that is going on within her helps me understand it's not. Okay. Okay. I'm really sorry to hear that, Melissa. All I can say is if your daughter's feeling hurt, that's something that requires obviously a lot of patience and curiosity. Because generally when someone's hurt and angry, they feel the need to defend themselves against the world. So I normally get really curious about what that looks like and where that comes from, in order to understand it. But I'm not sure where things are at with your daughter and all that kind of stuff. But, someone who's really angry like that, that's someone with all their defense mechanisms up. And that is someone who feels like they have to defend themselves against the world, right? Because, if you think about it, when we feel disempowered, when we feel frightened, the quickest way to get your power back is to get angry, right? When we feel disempowered, the quickest way to get your power back is to get angry. So an angry person is normally in full defense mode, so that doesn't come out of nowhere. So this is where I put my curious hat on and kind of work out what's the gap there that has someone feel like that's how they have to show up and they're unable to hear anything else other than that. But anyway, that's a whole other conversation. But thanks so much for sharing. I really appreciate it. Hi, Carol. Thanks for saying hi, honey. Carmel, I'm working on my spiritual side. That all makes sense. I do feel divinely guided. Awesome. Good for you, Carmel. It's so important that you draw on that, because that's what will nurture you through those moments where our human isn't getting what they want. All right, everybody. My daughter has just come back. She's getting her horse ready for round 2 of this show jumping competition. The rain looks like it has stopped. Yahoo! Thank you all so much for listening. I'm so glad that this worked from the car. And I will see you all next Friday. If you've got a question, send me an email to hello@fionalukeis.com.au. If you want to know more about my amazing Relatable program, I'm going to give that a plug. I always do. Relatable's amazing. Our community is amazing. The conversations we have are incredible. What you will learn will help you in all 3 areas. And it is something that will stay with you for the rest of your life. Thank you, Sylvia. Yes, we're very excited. I might post some pics here on my page because I'm such a proud mama. Thank you, Shani. If you want to know more about Relatable, you can book a call to have a chat with me, or send me an email, hello@fionalukeis.com.au, and say, Fiona, I want to know more about Relatable. All right, everybody, sending you lots of love. Take care now. Have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Bye.